Attacking football.
Attacking football.
Attacking football.
Attacking football.
All right, guys, now we are going to move on to a conversation about the most clutch players of all time. Now, the criteria for this is ranging, just like a lot of these topics, but I would say players that always show up in the big matches, score the biggest goals, and win the trophies should be under consideration. I think if we're going to start this conversation, it would have to be with Cristiano Ronaldo, but I don't want to spend a ton of time on that because he's just at the very top of the list. He scores in about 80% of the finals he plays in. He scored the most Champions League goals in history with 140. Those are the biggest matches. He scored the most knockout goals. He scored the most goals that win games for his teams across all competitions.
Yeah.
This is not a Messi slight. This is just talking about the genius of Cristiano Ronaldo, just how he went through all those teams, won so many awards. It's impossible not to talk about clutch and talk about Cristiano Ronaldo. Now on to the full conversation, guys. LA, I want to start with you. You have a slightly similar pick, but one that goes under the radar because of Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yeah, I think he does often get put into Cristiano's shadow. You talked about Champions League final goals. I mean, Ronaldo has 4 Champions League final goals, the only person to have more than the guy that I want to talk about. And that's Gareth Bale. He has, believe it or not, the second most goals in Champions League finals with 3, 2 against Liverpool, 1 against Atletico Madrid, and those goals against Liverpool, the first one at least, I think that's, in my view, that's probably the best Champions League final goal of all time. And you can talk about Zidane's volley against Leverkusen if you want. Gareth Bale's was better. You look at the Copa del Rey final against Barcelona, 0-0 going into the last minute, and he absolutely runs through the Barcelona defense and slots it through the goalkeeper's legs and wins it. In terms of clutch players that score important goals at important times, you look at the performances for Spurs against Inter Milan, and at the time, Spurs were not a Champions League team. They were fresh into the Champions League. They had a good squad, but at the end of the day, they had Roman Pavlyuchenko and Peter Crouch up front. They weren't littered with superstars, and Gareth Bale lit up the San Siro. He destroyed them at home. I think what he's done for Wales, though, probably overshadows all of that. From a country that were ranked in 100 plus in the world when he first broke into the side, he dragged them kicking and screaming to a World Cup championships. He dragged them to a European championships, their first one since 1954 or something ridiculous. He got goals against England. He got goals against... I don't think he scored against Portugal, but he had a great game against Portugal when they beat them in the semi-final. But the semi-final of the European Championships, Wales, there were 10 statues and Gareth Bale on that pitch during those championships. And that's not disrespecting the other Welsh players because, you know, there were some decent guys in there. You had Joe Ledley was playing, you had Aaron Ramsey. There were a couple of decent Premier League quality guys there, but Gareth Bale, he embodied what a clutch player should be for me, outside of Cristiano Ronaldo, because the man's an anomaly. You can't really... I know we mentioned him, but you kind of have to take him out of the equation in this one. And I don't think there is anybody I would rather playing... Like if I was San Marino, for example, and I was San Marinian, I would want a Gareth Bale in my team. Because you know that you would at least be getting an uplift of 30 to 40% out of what you could achieve just by having Gareth Bale in the side.
Yeah.
Hey, you. Click that subscribe button. It means a lot.
I completely agree. His performances, I think the only bad part is that he was injured so much that even towards the end of his career, he was available for Champions League matches, but couldn't play because he'd been out for 3 months or something like that.
Played for Wales, though.
And he prefers golf.
Yes, that's true. Could be later in the PGA at some point. We'll see. All right, Scott. So what's your shout for clutch players?
Well, so LA went for a big name player playing in big tournaments. I'm going for a mid-name player playing in big competitions and scoring big goals. I'm going with Divock Origi.
Ugh.
I mean,
No,
I
it's
mean,
a myth. It's
it's
such
not.
a myth.
It's not.
It
Nick.
is.
He's
All right,
popped up
let's
with
go.
Such
big
an
goals for
average
us.
player.
He's
Go
popped
ahead,
up
Scott,
with
let's hear
massive
it.
goals for us. Yeah, but he might be an average player, but it doesn't mean he's not a clutch player.
Mhm.
So I think I have to start with the 4-0 Barcelona. He starts the game.
How many
off.
goals did he score in that game?
He scored 2.
Out of 4.
Yeah,
50% a clutch player. Okay.
yeah. He scored the first and the last goal
All right.
to set the comeback and then to finish the comeback and send us to the final. He scored from the infamous corner taken quickly.
Which was Trent's brilliance, not Divock. Divock just tapped it
but-
in. That was Trent.
But he
So
stuck
that's
it.
Trent being clutch.
But he did
Yeah,
it.
okay.
He did it in style. He stuck it top
In
bins.
style. Yeah, he did.
stuck
Yeah.
it top
I could
ins.
have done that in style.
And then he went on. He scored in the Champions League final as well to close it out while Spurs were looking for an equaliser. I mean, the second goal is always the most important in a final, I think.
Oh, yeah, definitely, yeah. The
Especially
winning
in
goal
that-
is the most
especially in that
important
one,
in the
'cause
final.
it was quite a tense game as well, that final.
Yeah, it really
Who scored
was.
the winner?
I'd say Origi scored the winner.
Did he?
I'd say so.
In the Champions League final?
Yeah.
Well,
It was a
well,
pe-
Salah scored the first one, but I'd say the second was the winner. Because I think
Alright.
Spurs were edging on closer to scoring, and then we counter-attacked and Origi put in the net.
Okay. So that's a host
No,
of
not
goals
having
scored
it.
by Origi. What
Yeah.
else you got?
And then I've got him scoring in the 97th minute against Everton when we were in a tense race against Manchester City.
Oh, Everton.
Yeah, but it's a Merseyside derby, and we're in a title race against Man City. A title race where we came 1 point behind, and we might not even been that close if Origi didn't score this goal. And it was so important that it urged Jurgen Klopp to run onto the pitch.
All right.
Jose Mourinho ran onto the pitch for Porto. That doesn't mean it's a clutch goal.
Alan
It
Pardew
was-
ran
it's
on
a-
the pitch.
It was an important goal, and he scored it. And then,
Well, Federico Makeda scored a 93rd minute winner for Manchester United against Aston Villa. He doesn't make it on this list. He's a cult hero. He's not a clutch player.
that's one incident.
No, he did it twice.
Oh well,
To
that's
be
two
fair,
2 consecutive games.
To be fair to Scott, these goals that he's talking about were scored in a Champions League winning run. One where they were down to Barcelona and they came back from 3-0. 2 of those goals he scored. I'll give him that. And the Champions League final decider, I guess.
And there's another one. It was in 21-22. Origi scored in the 90th minute against Wolves while we were also in a title race against Manchester City. So I mean, he pops
Wolves.
up with these goals in big moments for us.
Okay.
So, okay. Look, Scott, let's do it like this, right? A clutch player is somebody that you would want in your side for the big moments in games, right?
No, that's a big
Absolute,
name
the
player.
biggest.
That's a big game
No,
player. These
that's
are
a
clutch
but
players.
that's the same thing. That's somebody who performs in the big games, a clutch player. So
No,
you've got a Champions League final, right? Let's say it's Liverpool against Real Madrid. Let's take your biggest enemy at the moment in the Champions League. Do you want Divock Origi taking a penalty in the 94th minute, or do you want Mo Salah?
No, but that's not how I view a clutch player. I view a clutch player as a player who's popped up in big moments, and Origi has popped up in big moments. It doesn't matter how good you are; it just matters that you pop up in these moments.
I'm still taking Mo Salah to take that penalty because he's a clutch player.
All right.
high
All right.
pressure.
Scott, I love the shout. I love the,
I don't.
LA, you don't love the shout.
No.
Divock Origi, you can tell us what you think. We're on Twitter at Attacking Football. You can like and subscribe and hear us talk about this stuff forever. We will also briefly talk about Zinedine Zidane, guys. I think that you can't talk about the clutch type that Scott Mason is talking about here and not add the mystique of Zinedine Zidane's World Cup performances stick out the most. 1998 carried France. I think their worst matches that they had were ones where he was suspended, which also happened a lot with him. But a beautiful campaign in 1998. He also had a gorgeous finish for Real Madrid against Leverkusen that you already mentioned, LA.
Yeah,
About big goals scored, showing up. He's cool as ice. And then, of course, the 2006 World Cup where he dragged a France team that was struggling and really shouldn't have been, but he was the best player on the field at all times, the best player in the tournament, even though he was older, just threw back the years. And then, of course, that delightful dink right down the middle for a penalty
Oh, that
kick.
penalty. Now, see, that's a clutch penalty. The
Yes.
was it Buffon in goal?
Yes.
He Panenka
Yes.
Buffon, didn't he? Yeah,
Yes, he
that's
did.
clutch.
And kind of, in my opinion, kind of birthed the whole era of the Panenka, right? Like after that, it became more common for these players that had extreme flair to Panenka the ball. And I really, really enjoy, I think there was a Fulham player that did it this year. I can't remember his name, who did a Panenka in like the 92nd minute for a penalty when they were trying to get a draw. And the goalie caught it.
Mitrovic.
No, it wasn't. I can't remember who it was. Panenka and the goalie caught it, and it's like you look so
it's
stupid when you and for Zidane to do that. Not only that, but he might have scored anyways, even if the goalie had stayed put, because the ball actually hit the crossbar and came down into the goal. So he had the amazing performance, and then France went on to lose in 2006, probably because he got sent off. I don't know if you guys heard about it, but Zinedine Zidane.
Why did he get sent off?
Sent off in 2006 for a, let's say, contact with the opponent. Extreme
That's
headbutt.
such an American
contact.
way of putting it.
Extreme
Contact with the opponent.
Illegal contact.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
we could do a series on most clutch moments in football, because you'd be able to throw things in like that David Beckham free kick against Greece, the Zidane volley against Leverkusen. You've got who was Elder, the Portuguese player who stepped in when Ronaldo was at Eder. Yeah, when Ronaldo got injured and missed the final, he stepped up and scored the winning goal in the final to give Ronaldo his only international trophy.
Yeah. Oh, you could add Divock Origi into that. He's a player that's
you can
as well.
No, you couldn't. No,
you won't let him have those either.
No, I'm not having it. Not having it.
Scott's not having it.
Origi
All
is a
right.
clutch player. He is a clutch player.
Is Origi clutch? Let us know. Like and subscribe. Let us know in the comments if Origi is clutch. That's it for this podcast. I'm Tom Miller. That is L.A. Matthews. That is Scott Mason. We appreciate you. Like and subscribe.